So despite how into Combiner Wars and by extension Unite Warriors I ended up getting back in the day, which feels weird to say, but it really was that long ago, my goodness. I never ever handled a version of the Rook mold. I never had Rook, I never had Swindle, I never had the really cool looking what was it, BotCon or TFCC, whatever one they did where there was like a retool, repaint into Tarantulas, which looked amazing. Yeah, never handled this mold before. Really wanted to get Swindle because I do have not like a ton of Combaticons, definitely not anymore, but like I do enjoy the Combaticons as like individual figures at points. And so I wanted to get Swindle. Everywhere I looked, it was like 40, 50, 60 bucks for this guy, and it's like, I don't want to pay that. Fortunately, I looked for him the other day, as of this recording, on eBay, and somebody had one on sale, just the figure with the regular gun, no hand-foot gun, no instructions, which is fine because I don't care, for 25 bucks free shipping. So it's like, I will absolutely take that over 40, 50, or 60 bucks. So, Combiner Wars Swindle, my first experience ever with the Rook mold, and it absolutely, undeniably does show its age in some aspects, but it's also pretty cool for what it is. Like, this guy's actually pretty neat. I'm definitely understanding why Rook was one of the most highly regarded molds in all of Combiner Wars and, by extension, Unite Warriors. Swindle here, he uses the mold pretty well, though it is a little bit silly how, and other people have pointed this out, how you've got robot fists where the drivers would be. Which on the one hand, it's, mostly like a Cybertronian thing at this point, so why would they even have drivers? But on the other hand, it's still a little silly. Also, I don't know why this is not lined up quite flush, but yeah, I don't know. It's not so much that like, oh no, this is silly because it blocks the drivers, but it's more like if this is Cybertronian and he doesn't need drivers, what's the roll bar for? It's a little silly. But that aside, his Jeep-ish mode looks pretty good for what it is. It's very much like I don't know how accurate it is, but it's a very Swindle-ish kind of tan color, mustardy tan. He has I've mounted his gun up on top here because I think it looks best, but if you want, you can unpeg it from here and peg it into like one of the peg holes on the back, which also looks fine. But that's generally where I have it pegged in. And this is, I don't know how accurate it is, but it looks good. I like the triple barrel like machine gun look, like it's a handheld Gatling gun. I don't know. I think that's cool. And looks good, painted well, and we're going to see that more in robot mode. As for the vehicle, there's a lot of molded detail here, which looks really good. A lot of intricate molding all over this thing. Very cool. But the thing that's kind of a shame is there's not really any paint, so to speak, predominantly in the vehicle mode. Like, all of this gunmetal for the roll cage, roll bar, whatever, is paint, which is good. But, like, that's kind of it. You get a little bit up front here, and that's all you get. So it does look a little bit plain in vehicle mode. I want to get the repro label set for this guy, but unfortunately it looks like they don't sell his stickers separately. I'd have to buy the set for all of the Combaticons, and I don't have any of the other ones, and I don't want any of the other ones. I just wanted Swindle, so we'll see what happens. Only other thing that disappoints me about this guy is the clip here, because you've got black all the way through for the wheel here, and here you've got black for the tire, but then that tan for the clip. That's something I could paint on my own, and I may at some point. I don't know. But that always bugs me when they don't match between wheels. I guess also technically these bits, the entire front section here is painted, so it's a little disingenuous of me to say there's no paint, but yeah, these are like weirdly painted in a way that doesn't quite match. And also silver there. I I don't get it. There's also, I'm noticing a little scuff there, but it's fine. Don't care that much. So yeah, and tiny Decepticon logo. Also, I do appreciate that the back of his head looks like an engine. That's cool. But yeah, the vehicle mode is pretty basic, but like it's a Combiner Wars vehicle. I think that is completely understandable. And he's still neat. Like, it's a neat mold. I just, it would be nice if there was a little bit more detail to him, or paint detail to him. But, those were the times. And for what he is still neat. Now, as for sizes, gotta zoom out a little bit more. And then zoom back in a little bit more. Okay, so here he is with a Voyager, Tall Deluxe, or Tall Deluxe equivalent, I should say, for anyone who's not familiar with OVA Prime. He is basically Spinister, like Siege Spinister height, so it's like a Tall Deluxe. Then our Samus amiibo, he's back out of here, and bring in Burnout for a modern deluxe, and they're roughly approximately the same size. Burnout actually feels a little bit denser, so I don't know. Everyone who likes to complain about things getting worse, I feel like they have gotten better in some regards. But yeah, there is how Swindle measures up with Burnout. And then for one more comparison for something kind of in a similar era, not the same. It's not a Combiner Wars figure. It's not a Unite Warriors figure because I don't have any more of those. I don't even have any more Power of the Primes figures that were derived from Combiner Wars figures. But of the similar era, I've got Titan's Return RC. So there you can see how he looks next to Titan's Return RC. And RC's a little bit smaller in some regards, a little bit bigger in some other regards, but there's how they measure up. And then, of course, for our most important of all size comparisons, the one everyone is here to see, because this is the one everyone needs to know, right? Here is Swindle with Duck Tank. Still can't decide if me doing more off-the-cuff rapid-fire commentary is better or worse than when I used to stumble through things a little bit more. Anyway, before we get into transforming this guy, which will take all of maybe a minute, if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done and you would like to support the channel, I do have both a Ko-fi and a Patreon, links to both at the end of this video as well as down in the description. Otherwise, you can always support the channel by doing the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe. With that out of the way, let us transform Swindle. And like I said, never owned Rook, so I don't know exactly how much of this is different, but it's very similar. So first you want to pop off the hood section here. It just plugs in to kind of tabs in. They're like these little tabs or pegs here that peg into the little divots there. So unpeg this and bring it up. Not all the way back, but just bring it up. Now you can lift up the arms to get them kind of out of the way. Primarily, you want to get this flap out of here. So bring those out of the way. Now the arms will hinge around or swing around. You can rotate them there. And there, got arms done. The head, or engine as it were, this flips up. And I appreciate how this platform is on it's like a cut, like it's at specific angles designed to rest on top of the combiner peg, which is in there and does the combiner peg thing. But I like how this is cut at a very specific angle so that when you bring it in, it both holds this in place and keeps the head kind of flat against the rest of the torso. Now this can come up, and this peg will rest into this divot on the back. And then bring this in, and this tab will tab in right here to kind of keep that in place. And finally, can split the legs, and they dual hinge down like so. When you push these in, there are these little grooves on either side here that will go around these little flat bits on the inside of the leg. So when you push those in, they'll kind of slide through there, and that keeps this from wiggling around when it's a leg. Not exactly a new trick for Combiner Wars, but it's secure. It works. Let's pick those in, and then lastly, the front of the Jeep double hinges up and in to become a foot. And, okay, forgot one other thing, and we want to rotate the head 180 degrees, and there we have Combiner Wars Swindle as Swindle in Combiner Wars, starring Swindle from Combiner Wars. And so yeah, it's cool. I mean, he's definitely, again, showing his age. You've got enormous gaps on the insides of the legs, though, because of how this transforms, like, I don't really see how they could have done anything different. Maybe if they had flaps that, like, flipped around, but then that would thicken up the underside. And again, it's like budgets and things back in the day, like, it would have compromised something. But, you know, he's cool. He is much more burly than Swindle usually is because he's derived from the Rook mold, but I do think it actually works for him. And I actually really like how the robot mode gets the color breakup way better than the Jeep mode. I mean, the Jeep mode is fine, but here you've got a lot more of a breakup with like the gunmetal in the toes and the shins and the forearms, but then you also have the black plastic for the thighs and the biceps, the wheels and the chest. There's all of the other stuff that's revealed now, like the light gray for the waist section, the purple all throughout the torso, some nice black and light blue painted in the chest to give it that kind of... It's kind of evocative of simultaneously the G1 toy and the other iterations of Swindle where he had like the front of the vehicle as his chest, which is definitely not what's going on here, but like I do like how it kind of evokes both of those things where like these could be headlights. He looks cool. I like him quite a bit, and I don't mind the burliness at all. I even think it's kind of cool how when these swing around, they actually go up against the wheels and keep them from spinning. Like, they can kind of spin, but I don't know. I think that's a neat touch. And he is a nifty, burly boy. He's relatively clean, too. Aside from this hanging off of his back, he doesn't really have any kibble. Like, he's got a small bit jutting off from the backs or undersides of each forearm, but, like, that's it. He is a very clean bot overall. Very plain from the back. It's very, mustardy, but still cool. And you get a little bit of a Decepticon logo on the shoulder there, which is visible from the outside of the vehicle, just kind of on its side, it is what it is. I feel like they probably could have fit one here, but I'm sure they had their reasons not to do that. And yeah, he looks good. It's got the kind of over-greebledness of the era, which I don't mind at all. Lots of detail molded into the shins and the hips and the waist and all that. And again, the torso has lots of little details. I like that they got the kind of Jeep grill and headlights molded into his waist. That's cute. And again, like some nice detailing in here. It does kind of suck that you've got this tan, orangey, mustardy combiner thing going straight down the middle, kind of breaking up all this nice paint. I'm sure because of either the nature of this moving or the quality of the plastic, because this does feel like that slightly softer, not in a bad way, but that slightly softer, more durable plastic than this does. This may not be, may not take paint, so that may be why they didn't bother to paint it. But it would have been nice if that black went across the rest of the way, if that purple continued all the way across, that kind of thing. Oh well. But yeah, he's cool. Now for the head, that is a very Swindle head. it's hard to see, but I think the face is a very slightly lighter gunmetal-y tone than the rest of the head, which I do like. It kind of would have been nice if maybe they pushed that difference a little bit further, but again, it's also really hard to see if they actually did mold them or paint them different colors. They may be the same exact color as I'm looking at it. I think they are the same exact color. So in that case, it would have been nice if maybe this was just a little bit lighter, just to have it stand out more, but it's fine. And then you also have the purple for the eyes, which also looks good, but if the purple was a little bit lighter, then it would stand out a lot better. I just, a little bit more contrast between the dark gunmetal and the dark purple, I think would make those eyes pop better. Not 100% necessary, but I do think it would have helped. Now for the articulation, as you saw, head is on the ball joint, so you can look up that far. Can't really look down, but you do get some pretty substantial side to side. And then you can also rotate because you have to for the transformation. The arms are on big chunky ball joints, so you can rotate them a bit for like pseudo butterfly motion, as well as go up and around and go out. You can also use the transformation joint for a little bit of a sort of reverse butterfly. You get bicep rotation. Elbows can bend to past 90, and they're also weirdly detented. That's strange, but hey, it is what it is. You do not get any fist rotation. They're just one solid piece, but it's Combiner Wars. It's kind of par for the course back in those days. You do get a waist swivel, which can go 180 degrees. The hips are on ball joints, so you can go forward to 90 and back to 90. I kind of like that this actually is just enough space back here that doesn't really keep the leg from going back. And go out ever so slightly past 90, you get thigh rotation. Also, the ball joint can give you a little bit of thigh rotation as well. You also get 90 degrees of knee bend. There's a big gap there, but again, it's Combiner Wars, it's fine. And then you do get ankle tilts. And it's not just the toe, the whole back section tilts with it, so that's cool. And if you wanted to, you could also kind of angle this, so maybe look like he's stepping forward or down or whatever, so you've got a little bit of play in the feet. So yeah, he is, for what for the era, he is pretty nicely posable, particularly when it comes to the feet. I think everything else is pretty much par for the course for Combiner Wars, from what I remember, for the most part, but having those ankles is nice. And he has his gun. You can peg it into his shoulder if you want to give him the shoulder cannon thing. I feel like that sticks out too far, but it is a thing you can do. Or you can, if you want, okay, I was going to say you could store it on his back, but really can't with this all stuck up there, so only other option, put it in either hand. I like to do it in this hand because I generally like to have the open waffly bits facing towards the figure. That's just a me thing. But yeah, there he is, and he looks good with his little gun too. Again, I don't have the hand-foot gun. I do not consider that a bad thing. So, Combiner Wars, Swindle, pretty cool. Let's zoom out, not that far, not so far that you see the edge of the laptop in the frame. He is a deluxe, so there he is with a Voyager, Tall Deluxe, Surrogate, Overprime, Samus. There's how he measures up there. He's a little bit shorter than a Tall Deluxe. And if we get all these out of the way and bring in a actual Deluxe, here he is with Burnout. And yeah, Combiner Wars Swindle is taller than Legacy Burnout. He's, wow, that head is so weirdly reflective. He does actually look almost Voyager height compared to Burnout. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Burnout has more going on mechanically, even though Swindle has to turn into an arm and a leg. But, the Combiner Wars skeletons were always pretty simple because they had to turn into arms and legs and have like the combiner ports and stuff. Yep, there's how those measure up. And then bring back Titans Return RC from roughly the same era, and they are practically the identical height. And yet Titans Return RC, I feel like, is also, again, a more complex figure. And also, she feels a little bit more dense. I don't know. Not complaining about Swindle. I really like Swindle, just saying. But for one more surprise comparison, I figure might as well bring in my one and only other Combaticon that I still currently own. That being this big guy, who is absolutely dwarfing Swindle here. Let's reposition things a little bit and zoom out a little bit here. So yeah, here is Combiner Wars Swindle with Ocular Max's Probus Regenesis, their version of G2 Brawl. And I went over it in the video for this guy already, but he is actually rather huge, so it's not really a mark against Swindle. I just figured for anyone who wants to see how they stack up. Obviously, the G2 deco does not match the more G1 inspired deco that Combiner Wars Swindle has, but that's how they look together. And then finally, for the most important of size comparisons, here is Swindle with the Duck Tank. Now, forgot to do the blast effect thing. So, yeah, blast effects, they don't really, like, you can kind of wedge it on there from one of the three things, but like it's not really on there. You can peg it into the shoulder if you want to do that, but yeah, he is not going to blast effect. And I forgot to do this in the last video, so let's just do it right now real quick. Let's take a look at Legion Starscream. He does not do the blast effect thing. Can't peg in there. Can't peg in there. So no blast effects for Starscream. And QT Starscream, you can kind of sandwich it over. It's not really designed for it, but you can give him blast effects, which is actually, I kind of feel like that makes it even more adorable. As you saw, they don't really want to stay on because these null rays are not designed for it, but like I actually really like that. That's cute. I'm not going to display them like that, but the fact that you can do that is very cute. Anyway, that is it for Combiner Wars Swindle, and by extension, the Combiner Wars Rook mold. Very cool. It's, again, like, as I said several times throughout this video, it does show its age, but it was also a while ago. I do not want to look up how long ago because it's going to make me very sad, so I'm not going to, but I know it was a while ago. So, you know, things have changed since then. The design ethos has changed, budgets have changed, where the focus gets placed on figure design has changed. Also, that they don't have a multi-year line devoted almost entirely to combiners anymore, so there is that. But yeah, he is undeniably fairly simplistic, but he's cool. He's a neat Swindle, and I think even though he is a little bit more beefy than perhaps he should be, he wears the Rook mold well. And this, I can see why so many people were like, yes, so, like, you need to experience the Combiner Wars Rook mold at some point. I completely understand that. I get it now. But that is enough about what I think. What do you all think of Swindle here, or Rook, or any of the other versions that have come out in the past? I think also, was it Unite Warriors Needle Nose? Not Needle Nose. Nose Cone. Unite Warriors Nose Cone. Whatever the drill tank from Computron is. I'm drawing a blank now, but yeah, the Unite Warriors version of him, he also, I believe, used the Rook mold. So yeah, like any of those versions, whatever you think, chime in. Feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And as of this recording, I do not know what the next video is going to be, so I'm not even going to try to predict it. But we'll all find out together.